I'm pretty sure it's going to be an exciting event, and people from all around the world is going to enjoy it.
You him, bro. I just can't wait to beat him and shut him. Teo not on this level. Teo is a high-level fighter, but he's not on my level. I'm an elite level fighter, and come January 31st, I'm gonna show it. Real clown.
I already figured you out.
You what not else, fighting.
What else you got, man?
No, Senior, you're
I only
not
seen
in the
10
ring.
seconds of your fight.
I seen you fight before.
I only
you
seen
can't
10
fight.
seconds of your fight. You're boring as hell.
Come on, bro. Stop it, bro.
Boring, man. You almost got knocked out. Even your daughter said you got knocked out.
Teo got hurt his last fight, too.
The press conference between Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez did not unravel in chaos so much as it revealed underlying tension that had been building quietly for some time. When Floyd Mayweather stepped onto the stage, it was not for spectacle. His presence carried the weight of experience, and his words were measured. He acknowledged the division as it stands, recognizing power where it exists, but he placed emphasis elsewhere. In his view, raw force alone does not define greatness at lightweight. Precision, restraint, and technical mastery do. By that measure, he identified Shakur Stevenson as the most skillful fighter in the class. The exchange between Stevenson and Lopez remained sharp, but beneath the words was something more restrained, two fighters fully aware of what this moment represents. Both spoke of preparation not as routine, but as accumulation, the sum of years spent learning, adjusting, enduring. Lopez reflected on his time at junior welterweight, describing it as a process that shaped him for what now lies ahead. Every opponent, every lesson absorbed, he suggested, would be tested in this ring, not as theory, but as reality. Mayweather's guidance followed the same restrained logic. He spoke less about bravado and more about discipline. For Stevenson, the task is composure, controlling distance, maintaining patience, trusting footwork and timing to manage risk. For Lopez, the challenge is different. Power alone will not solve this fight. Explosive moments must be supported by clarity, calculation, and restraint. Without that balance, force becomes predictable. He described preparation not as inspiration, but as labor, long miles, endless repetition, physical exhaustion, and quiet sacrifice. The kind of work that leaves no room for shortcuts, especially when the stakes are this high. Outside the fighters themselves, concern emerged from a different place. Tim Bradley, speaking from Las Vegas, questioned the silence surrounding the event. He noted the absence of visible promotion, the lack of presence one would expect for a fight of this caliber. His frustration was not theatrical. It was rooted in disbelief, at the sense that something significant was being allowed to pass without acknowledgement. For him, it raised uncomfortable questions about priorities, value, and what is quietly lost when moments like this are underrepresented. Still, Bradley's assessment of the fight itself was clear. He believes Stevenson will do what is required to win, even if it means stripping the contest of spectacle. Control, patience, and intelligence, in his view, will matter more than force. While he respects Lopez's power, he does not believe it will be enough on its own to decide the outcome. He pointed to Stevenson's recent challenges as evidence, fights that demanded resilience and adaptability, not retreat. As the conversation widened, outside voices added further complexity. Conor Ben weighed in with admiration tempered by dismissal, acknowledging Stevenson's ability while expressing confidence in Lopez's explosiveness. His comments reflected a familiar divide, between those who trust structure and those who believe fights are ultimately decided by moments of disruption. Others countered with a quieter argument. Speed, timing, and control, they suggested, often outlast power across 12 rounds. Stevenson's ability to think under pressure, to remain composed while others search for openings, is what gives him an edge. Lopez, they acknowledged, is dangerous and capable. But danger does not always translate into dominance, especially against a fighter who thrives on precision. Not everyone agrees. Some point to Lopez's experience, his momentum, and his history in high-stakes fights. They argue that he has proven capable of rising when expectations are highest, that he understands how to navigate pressure rather than be consumed by it. To dismiss him, they warn, is to misunderstand what he brings into the ring. Even those who see the matchup as evenly balanced struggle to settle on certainty. Styles collide here in ways that resist simple prediction. Skill against force. Control against disruption. Patience against urgency. What remains clear is that this fight is not defined by noise, but by consequence. Each man enters carrying not just preparation, but expectation, about who they are, what they represent, and what this moment will say about their place in the sport. Whatever the outcome, it will not be decided loudly. It will unfold through choices made under pressure, through restraint or recklessness, and through the quiet cost of being tested at the highest level. The match between Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez is, in many ways, a convergence of decades of discipline and ambition. Both men carry the weight of history in their fists, Olympic accolades, world titles across multiple divisions, and professional careers forged through relentless competition at the highest level. For observers like Rolly Romero, the fight represents more than a contest of power. It is the collision of two highly skilled technicians, measured and precise, performing before a crowd that bears witness to both talent and consequence. Yet even within the admiration lies the recognition of stakes that extend beyond victory or defeat. Analysts suggest that a win for Lopez would not simply be another notch on his record. It could shift the way the sport perceives him, forcing a reconsideration of rankings and challenging the established order of elite fighters. In those assessments, Lopez's ability to alter the narrative with a single, decisive moment is what makes him a figure of profound potential, and equally, profound uncertainty. Others, however, weigh skill against volatility. Kenny Ellis, observing from a coaching perspective, places his confidence with Stevenson. He points not only to technique, but to experience and mental fortitude. Lopez, in his estimation, has endured hits from fighters of lesser caliber than Stevenson, and his face, marked by scar tissue and the subtle testimony of past encounters, reveals the cost of those battles. The question, then, is not merely physical, it is psychological. How will a fighter carry what he has endured, and will that weight influence what he can do when every calculation matters? Jermaine Ortiz, connected directly to Lopez, foresees Stevenson controlling the rhythm of the fight. In his view, Lopez's challenge will be in finding space to exert his power, and in failing to do so, fatigue and frustration will set in. Stevenson, disciplined and patient, may move with intention, his hands and feet orchestrating a quiet but relentless pressure. The action may appear restrained, almost imperceptible, yet within it lies the fundamental struggle, timing, judgment, and the measured application of skill against instinctive force. Stevenson himself, in recent reflection, acknowledges the danger Lopez presents. He respects the fighter's ambition and the unpredictability that comes with it. Yet he is focused not on spectacle, but on the act of confronting a four-time world champion, on defining his own path and legacy. The face-off revealed tension not in volume, but in the subtle interplay of observation, of assessment, of what is held back and what is poised to be tested. Even as questions arise about Lopez's state of mind, Stevenson frames the contest in terms of preparation and adaptability. Whatever the opponent brings, his attention remains fixed on his own execution, on the integrity of each movement and the necessity of measured response. The fight, he suggests, will not be dictated by narrative or expectation, but by the quiet accumulation of skill and awareness, the invisible factors that determine the outcome long before the final bell. The path to this fight, as Stevenson recalls, was surprisingly straightforward. A conversation, a mutual acknowledgement, and the arrangement was made. Yet what appears simple on the surface belies the complexity beneath. For observers like Frank Martin, this is more than a contest of strength or reputation. He describes it as a high-level chess match, one that will test Stevenson in ways he has not yet encountered. While Stevenson is celebrated for control, precision, and defensive mastery, Lopez presents a challenge of a different sort, a convergence of speed, power, and unpredictability that demands full engagement, mental and physical, from the outset. The matchup itself carries a peculiar symmetry. Each fighter brings attributes that counterbalance the other. Stevenson has shown the ability to neutralize punchers through measured movement and disciplined defense, while Lopez has at times struggled against opponents who force constant motion. The contrast creates an equilibrium. Neither man holds a decisive advantage. Observers note that while the fight may appear evenly poised, subtle factors, timing, anticipation, composure, could tilt the outcome. The contest is, in essence, a confrontation between raw force and calculated precision. Lopez carries power, explosiveness, and the capacity to end a moment in an instant, yet his experience remains narrower. Stevenson, by contrast, has faced opponents whose skills and toughness have honed his judgment under pressure. Hall of Famer Roy Jones Jr. emphasizes Stevenson's defensive instincts, his footwork, his ability to dictate distance, qualities that could neutralize Lopez if the fight remains measured and technical. For Lopez, victory demands risk. He must gamble, press forward, and accept exposure in pursuit of opportunity. For Stevenson, success lies in control, forcing Lopez to make choices, to overreach, and to confront a disciplined, strategic opponent who rarely concedes openings. Those who know Lopez best, including Keshan Davis, acknowledge his danger. He understands what he faces, but Stevenson must operate at his highest level to navigate it. The stakes are intensified by history. These fighters have known one another for years, tracing parallel paths from amateur competitions to professional prominence. Familiarity, past victories, and shared ambitions intersect with uncertainty. There is no margin for error, no space for underestimation. Former boxer Amir Khan frames it simply: Lopez is still evolving as a fighter, which makes him dangerous in ways not immediately apparent. Each man brings not just skill, but the weight of experience, preparation, and expectation. The fight, then, is more than a contest. It is a study in contrast, in strategy, and in the human capacity to adapt under pressure. Two lives, honed through decades of discipline, now converge in a moment that will test not only their bodies, but their judgment, their resilience, and the quiet calculations that determine victory. Teofimo Lopez is widely recognized as a formidable presence in the ring. Those who have trained with him, who have observed his preparation and skill, note a versatility that often goes unacknowledged. He can adapt, elevate, and respond under pressure, a quality that will be tested in the confrontation with Shakur Stevenson. Stevenson, in turn, has rarely been placed in a situation where every aspect of his skill, timing, defense, judgment, is pushed to the extreme. Lopez's record reflects a history of such challenges, having faced elite opponents and emerged with victories that attest to his power and precision. Yet the fight is not one that Stevenson is likely to lose control over. Analysts such as Brian Norman Sr. suggest that Stevenson's greatest strength lies not in sheer force, but in his discipline, poise, and strategic intelligence. The prospect of a knockout, he notes, is unlikely. Stevenson's approach relies on shaping the fight, controlling the pace, and exploiting openings over time. For Lopez, victory depends on rhythm, on the capacity to impose moments of pressure, to break through the calm composure of a methodical opponent. The contest, therefore, is defined by nuance. Neither fighter can rely solely on power or reputation. Stevenson must navigate Lopez's activity and unpredictability, while Lopez must contend with Stevenson's refined control. Observers describe the match as close, perhaps marginally favoring Stevenson, but the edge is not decisive. Each man brings a distinct combination of skill, experience, and adaptability, making the outcome a matter of subtle judgment as much as of action. As anticipation grows, the stakes are clear. This is a confrontation between two disciplined, highly trained athletes, each carrying the weight of their history, their preparation, and the expectations of those who watch. The fight will not simply reveal a winner, it will expose the limits of endurance, the precision of skill, and the quiet resilience required to prevail when every moment is scrutinized, and every choice carries consequence.